Avatar Legends, the fighting game, just broke the fighting game Twitterverse a few hours ago with the announcement of not only pre-orders going live on Steam, but also of a release date and a price, which was actually surprisingly lower than most people expected, myself included. First off, if you like Nintendo Switch 2 and you also like fighting games, then I think you and I are gonna get along. So do yourself a favor and hit the like button real quick so you can see more of my videos. Nintendo platforms have for a very long time been home to the gimped versions of fighting games, but with the Nintendo Switch 2, that trend is starting to change. We saw that in a big way when Street Fighter 6 landed on the Switch 2, supporting full crossplay and rollback netcode with visuals that rivaled the other consoles and which looked better than the Xbox Series S. More and more fighting games are making their way over, with the most recent addition being Virtua Fighter 5 Revo World Tour, which just came out on the Switch 2 a couple of days ago, and, well, we're still waiting. Bandai Namco, where's Tekken 8? But you know what? We might not even need Tekken 8 because Avatar Legends, the fighting game, is confirmed to be coming to the Nintendo Switch 2 and to the original Nintendo Switch as well, day and date with the other consoles. And not only that, the game is gonna feature rollback netcode, which really shouldn't even have to be mentioned. Whenever a fighting game got rollback on the original Nintendo Switch, that was huge news because the old Switch usually got left behind when it came to things like that. But the Switch 2 can handle it just fine. But not only is it going to feature rollback netcode, like Street Fighter 6, Avatar Legends, the fighting game, is also going to feature full crossplay on all consoles. So that means if you're playing this on the Nintendo Switch 2, you're going to be able to play with people on the PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series, and Steam. The player pool for this game is going to be huge because of that, despite the fact that it most likely generally is going to have a lower player count compared to any of the big fighters like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat. Crossplay is going to make it way more populated, but the biggest news that the Avatar Legends team shared with us is the price point for this game. There are two editions. There's the Deluxe Edition, which is going to retail at $50, which is going to get you the soundtrack, a digital art book, and the Year 1 Pass, which is going to include 5 DLC characters. Remember, with fighting games, you're paying $60 or $70 for the base game usually, and whatever additional price there is for DLC or a Season Pass. For less than the price of a standard game, you're getting a Deluxe Edition with extras, plus a Season Pass. And if you don't want to spend the $50, which is understandable in this economy, you could also get the regular edition of the game, which is going to retail at only $30. Yes, you heard that right. This game is only going to be $30. A lot of people were expecting this game to be $50 or even $40, but I don't think anyone expected them to release this incredible looking game at only $30. I haven't gotten to play any of the alphas or beta playtests that have been playable, but even without any first-hand experience playing the game myself, I still feel like $30 for this is an absolute steal. There's a lot of people out there talking out of their behinds, saying that the game looks like a Flash game, when you know that they've never played a Flash game before. Nobody says Melty Blood type Lumina looks like a Flash game, but that looks even lower budget than this. In fact, Avatar, the fighting game, doesn't even look like a low budget game. I think people look at something like Street Fighter 6 or Dragon Ball FighterZ, and they expect if your game doesn't look like that, then it's trash. One thing about that though is that Avatar is an actual 2D game. It's not a 2.5D game like Street Fighter 6 or Dragon Ball FighterZ. All the frames in Avatar were hand drawn. Nothing about that is low budget. And if these people had ever actually watched the cartoon, they would realize just how faithful this game really is. Like, it's practically a one-to-one recreation of the cartoon in 2D fighting game form. The characters are as expressive here as they are in Dragon Ball FighterZ. The movesets are accurate recreations of the TV show versions. The moving cutscenes could have been lifted from an episode. By comparison though, a Flash game looks like this. They're devoid of all personality, they lack soul, they're bare bones, they lack any intricate systems that could make it meaningful for anything longer than a short spurt. So let's lay these two games side by side, the Avatar fighting game and the Avatar Arena Flash game, and tell me that they're the same thing. Please do. Like, I want you to, but I know that you won't because you can't. I think the real reason that people think this game looks cheap is that it doesn't have any of the massive explosions and cool looking boom boom wow shiny thing that the kids love nowadays. It doesn't have that drive rush visual effect of Street Fighter 6 or the huge explosions of Dragon Ball FighterZ. But if that's what you expected out of an Avatar fighting game, then I can tell that you've never even watched the show. Avatar never had things like that. As funny as it may sound, Avatar was always a bit more grounded than that, relatively speaking anyway. Some absolutely crazy things did happen during the major fights, but most fights in the cartoon looked pretty tame, even compared to, say, Goku vs. Krillin in the World Tournament in the OG Dragon Ball, and that's before Dragon Ball became Dragon Ball Z and got really crazy. Avatar the fighting game will be releasing on all consoles, and something that I just found out looking at the end of the pre-order trailer, it's that this game is not only coming to Nintendo Switch 2, it's also coming to the original Nintendo Switch. That was actually not something that I knew. Beforehand, it was only ever mentioned that it was coming to the Switch 2, but if you look at the end of the pre-order trailer, you can see the logos for both Switch 1 and Switch 2. So yeah, this game might be the old Switch's swan song, at least as far as fighting games go. As far as the cast goes, in the base version of the game, before any DLC gets released, there are going to be 12 characters, and now we know who they all are. The ones we already knew were Aang, Korra, Katara, Zuko, Toph, and Sokka. Now we also know that we're going to be getting Azula, who was very heavily speculated to be coming. She was an obvious choice, really. Not having her would have been like not having Kitana in a Mortal Kombat game. Fire Lord Uzai. I said Fire Lord Uzai. Are you... Fire Lord Ozai is going to be in the cast, Avatar Kyoshi and Zahir as well. I actually had to do a little bit of digging to remember who the hell Zahir even was, but apparently he was the villain in Season 3 of Korra. I did watch that season, but I guess it just wasn't that memorable to me. I remember his character model, but not anything that he did, or any specifics really of Season 3. If they were going to add a single villain from Korra, dude, it should have been Amon. It should have been Amon. I hope he gets added in as a DLC character, honestly. The final two characters seem to be Aang and Korra in their avatar states. Alright, so that's going to be it. I am going to be making a lot of content for Avatar Legends, the fighting game, specifically the Switch 2 edition. I'm going to be doing combo guides for this game and online matches, and if I know myself well enough, I'm probably going to specialize with one and maybe two specific characters, and I'm going to get them down to a very high level. I'll be trying out the whole cast for sure, well, except maybe Zahir, that guy. He took Amon's spot, and for that I will never forgive him. I'm SwitchPlayed done.